Hello everyone, I'm Sheikh Jalal Ahmed. This is the 5th video that I've recorded in this series about ride harmony concepts, overview. How do you think about what is a factory suspension doing, very likely, especially a sport type suspension or on a sports car, or how an aftermarket suspension is often tuned. What you may or may not be feeling, especially if we're going to work together, whether it's a consulting process or if you want me to do consulting and do a damper tune for you, using one of the FCM Elite stages, Stage 2 or Stage 3 Ultimate. This is giving an overview of my approach so you can get a preview of what you can expect. And I really want to make sure that people understand why these ideas matter, because you're being subjected to certain behaviors right now, and I want you to be able to be respected more by me saying I believe that you are an intelligent enough person that, as Uncle Peter Parker's, Spider-Man's uncle, was it Jack, said, with great power comes great responsibility. And so I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom. That's what every customer, the best that I know at any given part of my evolution, of my learning process, I've learned from many, many different people. I'm constantly learning, constantly tweaking and thinking about what I can do better. I want to give you the very best I can, because that also helps me to continue to innovate and to get your feedback so I can improve my products. In fact, the Stage 3 Ultimate, when I was previously doing what I called KBO, which was with the earlier Stage 3, KBO meaning Kerb, K-E-R-B, the British spelling, because I thought it was cool. Kerb Blow Off. That was where the compression force would build, but then instead of kind of continuing to go up, it would just kind of flatten. Instead of going like this, it would just go like that. And that was good in a lot of situations. It had a lot of benefits to, like, if you hit a bump, if you're going over a bump, and the car would not kick up in the air as much, so it would just absorb the bump and then continue. But on the first part of the bump, the second part is where the rebound is still pulling, and especially if you're going at some speed, the car could still kind of have this abrupt kind of like a falling down effect. So I got feedback from Anthony Zwain, who is one of the owners of Edge Motorworks in Fremont. And he was saying, "Oh, I love your stuff. We got Stage 3 on all of our cars. We switched from whatever they had, Moton, AST, MCS, whatever. But a certain track, it was at Buttonwillow, jumping the bump stop. He said, jumping the curb at the bump stop, I could feel that the rear kind of had more of this pull down, this pack, And so as he's describing it, I'm looking at oh yeah, that's because there is more high speed rebound, and so meaning it 10, 15 inches per second, or 5, 10, at higher, not super high velocity, but just at a higher damper velocity. And so that feedback, which he gave to me in 2019, throughout, the 2020 period, all the interesting things that happened in the world during that time, I kind of had my own sort of mad scientist, Newton staying away from, I was self-sequestering largely in my shop and, very nearby, to focus on how do I take my understanding to the next level? How do I continue to improve? And that's when I came to look at, tons of experimentation and prototyping and how do I make the damper do, like I've said in other videos, more of this full rally, full, getting through the bump, not just the first part, but the second part too, so that it just stays more level. So I was already doing flat ride, and I was already doing pretty good with the damping, and I knew there was room for improvement. So that feedback is so important, and fun too. I really relish having conversations with people. So I'm going to, what am I going to erase? I think now I can probably take out, say, do not get jerked around, people. Your body is the most sensitive instrument you're ever going to possess in every dimension of what we can do as human beings, and spirit and human form, as I like to believe too, and others say. So you need to trust what your body's telling you. If something doesn't feel right, something doesn't smell right, something, gut feel, whatever the case is, you ought to listen to it. And like literally, if your body is being bounced around, I don't care how much somebody spent or how much you spent on something or how many knobs it has. You're not getting ride harmony. You're not taking care of the tires. You're jerking, the tires are being jerked around. You're getting less grip, worse ride. It's all connected. So hopefully you can get from these videos and from working with me that you need to listen to your body. Okay? It's as long as you're fairly conscious and aware, you're very likely going to be led in the right direction. So, what was I gonna? I think I really said a lot of what I. Well, there's a diagram. There's this is where I'm gonna get a little. Well, maybe I'll just make this the last video, like a prologue. So this is 6 minutes long. So that. I hope I've covered everything. I think I really have touched on all the essential elements, given a lot of examples. I've shown, you know, a little bit of like the gas force comparison. Like this one is in the second video, I think, pushing on this MCS with a non-inverted 22 millimeter high gas force, like 80, 90, 100 pound gas force. I'll have to talk about that in another video. It was they did some interesting, some questionable things, I'd say, but I'll talk about that in another video. And then the H&R, which is an inverted design. This is more what we use. So we use this H&R Bilstein. H&R uses Bilstein or Bilstein, depending on what's available. But this is the basis of our builds is an H&R. All right. You get a very durable damper. There's no nitrogen port. All these wonderful things. So I am going to do a final, fully philosophical video. I talked a little bit, but I want to just really go into. My raison d'être, if I'm saying it correctly, the reason for being or the reason why Fat Cat even exists, and why you're watching these videos, and why I believe you would want to, well, it's up to you to decide to work with me or not. So, okay, last video coming up. Hopefully last one. We'll see.